So these are 140 grain Sierra Match Kings that I made and shot last week, and these are their boat tail hollow point bullets. I'm using Hodgdon H4350 in these sessions. Having a pretty good outing, so the results are a little mixed, but I had some pretty good groups out of this particular session. One that I put on a separate video in the upper right hand corner of your screen. This is a pretty tight group. This was right at an inch, just over an inch. So this is going to be my next set. I'm testing different seating lengths here. I used a comparator gauge, a Hornady comparator gauge, to locate the lands on my rifle. I've done a couple of different things here. One is, they say, take a dummy round, a bullet that you're going to sacrifice, you split the neck with a Dremel tool, and you size it, and then you insert a bullet partly into that case. Here's another group. This is about an inch, just under, I think, probably 9/8. Okay, so anyway, and you insert that dummy round into the rifle, and the idea is that when you push the bolt forward, it pushes the bullet into the case because it meets up with the lands, and so the bullet can't go any further, so it recedes inside the case. Then you extract that from the rifle and you measure the distance there to find your distance to the lands using the comparator gauge. So these worked out pretty good. There was one group in particular, the last group, which is on a different video, that ended up being a 1/2 inch group, which I was very pleased with. The other way is the Hornady makes a tool. It's a comparator gauge that has a dummy round that screws into a device that slips into the, this is for a bolt rifle only, but it slips into through the back of the rifle with the bolt out, and it places the dummy round into the chamber, and there's a bullet in. Okay, this one was under an inch, I recall. This was about 0.8 inches. But there's a rod that allows you to push a round through that dummy round into the chamber until it seats, and then there's a screw that you tighten that down and you remove that. Well, sometimes that round gets stuck in the rifling, so you have to remove it. You can either turn the rifle up and bump it on its butt. What I usually do, I've got a very free moving bolt action on my Socko S20, and so what I do is I'll lift the bolt and I'll use a cleaning rod pressed down in there sometimes to, if the bullet is stuck in the lands, to push the bullet out, because I know there's going to be no resistance on the bolt, so it shouldn't change the seating in that dummy round. But this one was just over an inch. I think this one was like 1.16 inches. But anyway, went through, I don't know how many measurements. I did it every which way. I had 2 dummy rounds that I was using to measure that way, and I used at least 7 to 10 bullets on the Hornady comparator, and I used the shorter of the measurements that I came up with. I averaged them out, and the shorter was not much different from the average, so that's what I went with. So it doesn't look like on this particular bullet I'm going to be able to get 20 thousandths to the lands, but I'm getting some pretty good groups. This one was 0.56 inches, if I recall. The sides of those triangles are 1 inch each. So you can kind of judge from that about how big the group size is. And of course, when you measure your group size, you measure from center to center. You take an ordinary caliper and you take one of the rounds that you've been firing, you load it in that caliper, zero it out, and that's how you measure your group sizes. All right, guys, have fun.